Hi there. More today on the process of psychotherapy. Let's assume that you've decided to go forward with psychotherapy. You've found a person, you've booked an appointment. Now what? Well, you could just sit around waiting for the appointment, and that's fine. No therapist expects you to be completely prepared. But most people have some limited coverage, or they're paying for it themselves and they have limited bank accounts, so they want to make the most of it. There are a few ways to speed up the process of therapy before it even begins. The kinds of questions that therapists ask during an intake appointment really vary depending on their preferences, the type of therapy they do, the type of people and problems they see, and so on. But most of us are concerned with a few big questions. And thinking about these beforehand can sometimes be very helpful. And just thinking may not be the best. You might get into the room and forget everything. So write it down. You can even make notes for yourself and consult them in session. And for some bits, you can even write or print them out and hand them over to your therapist. Great. So what are these big areas? When I'm seeing someone for the first time, it can be kind of free-flowing a little bit. But the first big question on my mind as a therapist is, what's up? What are you experiencing? Think of this as a symptom list. Some people go into therapy and aren't really experiencing significant distress. This isn't quite so relevant, but most are. And if you want to be elaborate, think of this in terms of 4 realms. First, emotions. Are you stressed, depressed, angry, bored, unmotivated, or what? Thoughts. Are you experiencing troubling thoughts of some kind? Maybe worries or negative thoughts about yourself, or maybe even thoughts of harming yourself. Behavior. Are you doing things that you think are part of the problem? Maybe you're drinking too much, or not going to bed until 3 in the morning, or you're watching too much TV, avoiding certain things, isolating, over shopping. If we shot a video of you over the course of a week, all we could see would be your behavior. What might tell us that something is wrong or different from usual? And finally, physiology. Is there something wrong or different about your body or its functioning? Maybe you can't sleep, or you have absolutely no energy, or you're having panic attacks, or you have chronic pain that's acting up. So that's essentially your list of personal changes or symptoms. Next, we want to know about your context. What's going on with your life? Often there are things happening around you that seem related to the reason you want therapy, like you've just lost your job, or you're hugely in debt, or you've just moved and you don't know anyone in the town, or your marriage is falling apart. What are the big changes in your life that have happened lately? Or the biggest stresses in your life right now? But maybe there's nothing especially wrong. Your therapist is still going to want to know more about you and your life. Are you working? How do you like it? What do you do in your spare time? What's your social network like? Anything that occurs to you that a person should know about your life if they're going to be of some help to you. You don't have to be complete. If your therapist notices something missing, they can always ask. Next, the problem history. How long has this been a concern for you? When did it start? What was happening around then? Have you had times when it wasn't bothering you so much? Why do you think that was? And what's your theory about what's wrong? Now, don't worry too much about whether your ideas are right or whether they're complete, but you know more about your own life than anyone on earth, certainly more than a therapist who just met you. You've been thinking about this for a while before you sought therapy. So, what do you think? Next, the treatment history. What have you done to try and help this problem? How'd that go? Did it help a little? A lot? Have you had therapy before? When? What helped? What didn't? Have you been on medication? Any type of medication, not just psychiatric medication. Great. What type? And what do you take on a regular basis now? And include your medication for physical issues and vitamins and anything else, especially for things you're taking now. It helps to know the dose per pill, the schedule you're supposed to take it on, and any results that you've noticed. You can write all this stuff down, or you can just bag up all your current medications and bring them in. Next, your life history. What's your life been like? Where were you born? Where have you lived? What was your family like? Are there big significant events that happened along the way? What have been the best parts? What about the biggest challenges? Now, all of those ideas are probably pretty intuitive. You can guess that they'd be relevant. But there's one thing people often miss. The human brain is designed to help us solve problems. That's much of what it's for. And you can only solve a problem if you pay attention to it. So we have a natural bias to look for problems in our lives, the things we don't like. Often when a person comes to see me, they are very conscious of the nature of the problem, and they're able to describe that to me. For some reason, I tend to think of fish ponds in this situation. The person is sitting on a lily pad that they don't like very much. They want to get away from it. But it's often not clear where they want to go. North? South? East? West? Where? I might notice, for example, that they never go hiking in the wilderness. For me, that would be a huge problem. So it's tempting for me to say, I can see the issue. We need to get you hiking. But that's my life. That's not your life. It will be natural for you to think about the problems in your life and what you don't like right now. That's incredibly valuable. But spend some time thinking, okay, that's what I don't like. What would I like instead? If I could move not just away from something, but towards something, what would that be? Imagine that your therapy and your life go really well. And 6 months from now or a year from now, we follow you around with that same video camera for a week. What would be different about your life? If I could show you that movie of the future right now, what would you hope to see? Oh, look, I'm going out with friends. So it looks like I must have more friends. It looks like I've got a job. Oh, I've wiped out my debt. Oh, look, I've started to date, or I've retired, or I've changed jobs. And okay, I still get some anxiety, but I'm not having those panic attacks. Great. What do you want? If you're an archer and you're trying to hit a target, it helps to know where the target is. It's not enough to say, I want to get this arrow away from the bow. Where do you want it to go? Think of your therapist as a cab driver. If you get into a cab and say, you know, I really hate this place, what is your driver going to say? Oh, okay. Where would you like to go instead? So think about that. Not just the point of pain or dissatisfaction, but the destination as well. What do you want? Now, those aren't all of the bits of a first therapy appointment. Chances are your therapist will ask some things that I just haven't mentioned here. But what I've talked about in this video is a fair chunk. And thinking about these kinds of issues beforehand and writing them down can really help get therapy off on the right foot and help ensure that you don't miss important bits of the solution. Therapy can be a powerful tool for change, but the most important person in the room is not your therapist. It's you. You can start before it starts.